Yeah, I know. We're not going to play GoldenEye, but the GPI case has gotten even better with the CM3 Plus mod. And what this is it allows you to go from Raspberry Pi W, which is only 1 gigahertz, to the Raspberry Pi Module 3 Plus, which is going to give you a 1.2 gigahertz, more RAM, way better performance, running on the same batteries, and it's just a little bit more oversized now. So if you want to play Game Boy Advanced, you want to play some arcade games, you want to play some more advanced systems, look no further. This mod is sweet. There's actually a couple little things you should know about it. I'm going to show you how to set it all up, some little quirks, and I'm going to show you this pre-made image, 128 gigabytes, over 16,000 games that I'm really liking. It even has a track mode and a fully customizable emulation station. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I'm actually really excited for this one because I bought a lot of stuff to make this video. I bought a Raspberry Pi a Raspberry Pi Compute Model 3 Plus Lite, which is basically a little single board computer with just the processor, GPU, and RAM. There is no, other ports on this whatsoever. So I had to buy this for the video. You also need to purchase one of these for the video, which is the GPI case. Here's mine in all of its glory. And we're gonna do the modification for this. Get rid of this cartridge, add on this cartridge. Go from a Raspberry Pi Zero to a Raspberry Pi Compute Model 3 Plus. So really simple mod actually, because as you know, it has that nice little cartridge. Now as far as what comes, you have to buy this separately. The Raspberry Pi you do have to buy separately. The GPI case you do have to buy separately. And then there's this kit here. There's probably a good time to plug Retro Game Restore. They're actually working on a new clear cartridge. I wish I had that one, but I'm on the older model. But similar idea with a clear cartridge. Couple of notes about this board. One, it does have a little HDMI out ribbon cable option. It does have a micro SD slot for your image, and it does come with 2 micro USB ports. So one you can run a power out of, one you can run like a Wi-Fi dongle out of, or a controller out of. You have a few options there. So for this part, I wouldn't worry about being too gentle. You really got to get it in there, and then it kind of goes in at an angle and then push it down. And those little tabs definitely go into the sides. Kind of like putting a RAM stick in a motherboard. You definitely want those sides to click in and have a firm fit. Now in the cartridge itself, the fit is a little weak in my opinion, but what happens with the GPI case is when you hit the on button in the GPI case, it actually contracts and pushes the pins together on the bottom of the cartridge. So basically all you're doing as far as the alignment on the case here is there's a little dot on the back of it, and just make sure the dots align. As far as the the pins here at the bottom of the cartridge, they'll have a little bit of play on them. Don't worry about that, as long as when you hold it flat, it looks all flat, because once you hit that on button, it's going to secure it all into the GPI case. All right, so we're starting to bling out our CM3 Plus mod. While this is booting up, I'm gonna go ahead and this image I'm using the PiPiggies. It gives you the little artwork. I only have a black and white printer right now, so I printed some out, but you could do it in color, cut them out, glue them on. And then, like I said, it comes with a few with it if you want to go and use theirs, but this is what it might look like. And I can make it bigger too. I can do one that like says RetroPie. So remember, you no longer need the original stock GPI cartridge, which has a Raspberry Pi Zero in it. We're now upgraded to a Module 3 Plus. So we're gonna have the same processor in the Raspberry Pi 3. Pretty nice. So this is a pre-made image that I got. It's the GPiMate PiPiggies image and it has a Supreme Team base on it. It has an attract mode on first boot. I'll put it in emulation station later. It has like
16,000 games or something. It's ridiculous. It's just really nice. A lot of people say it doesn't work because they didn't run the patch you have to run when you first start, and I'll throw that in at the end of the video in case you're curious about this image and how to get it set up properly. There's a couple things you have to do, but here's an old commercial. It has commercials you can play on the image.
Atari Lynx, Autonomous Wave, Commodore 64, Coleco, even has Daphne on here, Dragon's Lair 2, Space Ace, with video snaps, Dreamcast. I mean, we gotta play those, see how they play. Family Computer System, Game & Watch. Game & Watch is easy to play on this. Game Gear, Game Boy, basically all the, even has the hacks on here, which could be fun, especially on this device. It does have Kodi, probably doesn't run that great. Mega Drive, Japanese Mega Drive, MSX, MSX2, Nintendo 64, Naomi, Nintendo DS, Neo Geo, Nintendo. So let's try with some big games. Let's hit select here. Let's go all the way over to Metal Slug. So let's see. Because I played it on a, okay, that's lag right there. Okay, there's definitely a little lag here. But as you see, like, it's responsive enough. But yes, it's not playing at 100% full speed. Is it playable? Absolutely.
All right, a couple things you should know. You might want to fill out this WPA file and add it to your image. This will allow you to set up your Wi-Fi. Also, right here, there's something called the GPI case patch. After you download this image and you burn it to your SD card, you want to go ahead and double-click this patch file in your micro SD card. Without that, it's not going to boot correctly. This tells it to boot to your smaller screen and not out of your HDMI. Make sure you do that. There's so many complaints that this image is broken because they don't add the patch before they boot up. The other thing is your controls are not going to work out of the box. You need to do this little trick right here, which is hold the left trigger and select at the same time for 5 seconds until this light turns purple. Other than that, you default to a track mode and you can switch it to emulation station. Those are the main things to note.
All right, closing remarks. Yes, you still have the limitations of the GPI case. That's the biggest downside. You have those back buttons that aren't that great. You have the small screen, and you're limited by the hardware as well. But if you want something that looks like a Game Boy, feels like a Game Boy, plays like a Game Boy, look no further. This is nostalgia heaven. The screen is actually fairly nice for being so small and all. The image itself is amazing. Make sure you do those fixes that I put in the end of this video right before this section. And you can run it now on power or battery. It'll run both ways. I ran it on battery or on power in this video because I was playing it for quite a long time. As far as overheating, it did get quite warm, and I did add a heatsink onto my board, a little copper flat one. But I didn't get any actual shutdowns or any kind of performance because of it. But if you are going to be playing this thing for 2 hours plus, you might want to consider that. I'm going to be doing some more videos with some more modification to this thing to make it even better, but this mod was definitely worthwhile, especially if you want to play higher performance games. Now, the other thing is you don't have to buy the Raspberry Pi Zero to get started. That's a cost that, I already had one laying around, but if you get straight out of the gate, you get the correct board and the correct kit, you could save a little bit money there. Is this the best portable? No, not necessarily. I think there's definitely more powerful and more customizable portable systems out there. Is this a worthy upgrade though? Heck yeah. The Raspberry Pi Zero is not great, and this is significant. You wouldn't think that the 0.2 gigahertz, but it's not just that. It's it's a different processor altogether, so it's gonna run much smoother. So power-wise, great. Just keep in mind that you still have the limitations of Game Boy D-pad, those really weird back buttons, and the smaller screen, which is pretty much the majority of what people don't like about this and they knock it for. But this is definitely going to make the experience better, as you saw. So that's what I think. Let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next.